Hi, it's Lainey Mays from the library marketing team here at Harper Collins. And
I'm Kim Racon from Harper Academic.
So every month the library team, well, first we can take off our sunglasses, but we just wanted to look really cool when we came in.
Sorry, Mom, I haven't actually gone to the eye doctor yet.
So every month the library team here, we do a fun Tiki Hut presentation of books, of upcoming books. The Tiki Hut went with us to ALA. Mm-hmm. Tiki Hut didn't come back because we're getting a new one, and in between we're just using our grass skirt. So I'm sorry we're Sans Hut, but we're still double the fun.
We still have fringe.
What we don't have in Hut, we make up for in fun.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited that Kim is coming to be here with us today. Virginia and Chris are usually here, but as the summer months go, people are out, and we're really sad that they're not going to be here. It won't be the same, but we do have Kim, and we're really excited.
Is there a sad sound?
Oh, we did bring our sound machine. Sorry.
Oh, I know, that's not it. That was applause. I really didn't mean to clap for the...
Oh, that one's a different sad.
I think it's this one. There we go. I'm learning libraries sound machines. So.
Well, because we're here alone, we have run of the office. So
we do, because both of my colleagues in academic marketing, Diane is at a conference in Houston talking to the great advanced placement teachers across the country, and Michael, unfortunately, has come down with strep throat, so we don't want to catch his germs.
Yes.
So we're the only two here, so it's gonna be donut holes and mimosas, really.
We're having brunch.
We're having brunch, basically.
And you're invited.
So please,
I'm going to start pouring.
Us. Yes, do that. Here's my... Gotta make sure the bottom doesn't fall out of my glass.
Aren't we all worried about that
We drink? You know what? We all are worried about that.
The bottom falling out. A little bit more.
I got my orange. Yeah, why not?
A little bit more.
It's Friday. It's Free for All Friday. Hashtag Free for All Friday.
We have our own orange juices.
We have our own.
We came prepared.
We did come prepared. So there we go. So cheers to everybody out there.
Good decision.
That's good stuff.
Donut hole.
That's good stuff. You can shoot that in your mouth for a while. I don't know. I feel like I'm the one that's kind of in charge of saying completely stupid things and making people laugh. So.
Okay, so...
Do we want to get going? Do you want to start with November Road?
Now I'm ready to go. So, we're going to start off with November Road, Lou Burney, and there's so much in-house love for this. It's our lead read, which is a program where the sales team kind of votes on a book for the season. Lou is our lead read, and Lou is just a great person. He's been at PLA, and he was just at ALA with us. And he did a great podcast interview. I'm going to do a little podcast putting in.
Love.
We have these really great headphones. Also, if you comment on this video, you can win some of the books we talk about. Ask us questions, anything you want, and, well, about the books. And, I'm going to send headphones, whoever wins. So, that's fun. But Lou did a great interview for our podcast with Chris, who's not here right now. And it's on our SoundCloud. You have to check it out. This book follows two characters in the middle of the days after the JFK assassination in the 60s. And so Frank Guidry is this kind of mob boss golden child. He does all the great work for him, and he's just good at his job. But the morals lack a little bit.
Yeah, slightly.
When you're a mob boss lieutenant. And he kind of knows a little too much about the assassination, and that might not be good for him.
Yep.
So he goes on the run. The mob boss, Carlos Marcello, has somebody going after him. He's ruthless. He's going to find him. And he sees a woman on the side of the road who is broken down in her car. She has two little girls with her. And so Charlotte has left her husband, who is drunk, and he is, just not there for her. And she sees this change in the world with the assassination, and she's thinking, I've got to change my life. Like, I don't feel anything with this. Something's got to change. So she goes on the run with her two little girls and her dog, and he sees her, and he thinks, maybe this is going to get me out of some things. So they're both running. It's a love story. It's a thriller. Lou has won so many awards.
Yeah.
Edgar Award, McCavity Award, Anthony Award, Barry Award, Oklahoma Book Award, all for The Long and Far Away Gone, which... anyway, it's somewhere. And somewhere in the books. And he has won all these awards for his book, The Long and Far Away Gone. And he it's something else. You're going to want to pick it up. And it's out in October. Mm-hmm. And so that's November Road by Lou Berney.
If you really liked Don Winslow's The Force, you're probably really super going to like November Road. And Don Winslow himself, author of The Force, really likes Lou Berney's November Road. So we're super great and pleased to have Don Winslow's support with this. But if you really love The Force, definitely have November Road on your October calendar.
Yeah. It's chilling. Like, he's going and thinking all these things, and you're just like, how are you going to get out of this? But because he's done it to so many people, he has these kind of thoughts, and it's really like cat and mouse. If you're a fan of, like, Mad Men, that's kind of what you're thinking. Yeah.
So lots of people are
that
saying...
time with a thriller put together.
Lots of people are saying hi. So hi to everyone. And also, Vicky said November Road is so good.
Vicky
Read
Nessing?
It. Yes, Vicky Nessing.
Hi,
yes.
Vicky.
Hi, Vicky. Nice to meet you via Facebook. But Lainey certainly knew who you were. So there we go.
Everyone, we all love Vicky here.
Yeah. So we are also self-moderating your comments. So we
in true entrepreneurial spirit.
In true entrepreneurial spirit, we're doing it all for you this morning here at HarperCollins. So
what do you want to go to next?
You know what? Let's talk about a book that probably needs no introduction. So we all know Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird. It is a beloved book. And it is read by over millions and millions of people each year. Hundreds and hundreds of high school and college students read this book every year. We have a new edition of Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird coming out in October. It is a graphic novel edition. So what it will have, the text remains the same. Nobody's adding any new words to Harper Lee. But we are adding illustrations. We're making a graphic novel out of it. The guy who is doing the illustrations is Fred Fordham. He was born in 1985, which is slightly terrifying to me because that means he's younger than I am. But he is actually an Englishman. He lives in London. And he is a great, great, great graphic novelist. He's a great illustrator, and we are super excited to have Harper Lee's words sort of in this new in the story of Scout and Jem and Dill, and Atticus, of course, and Boo Radley in this great new format. The drawings, this is a sample spread of the cover and also sample illustration panels. It's a super, super interesting way to take a look at a very beloved American classic, and we are absolutely thrilled to be working with Fred. We're thrilled to be working with the Harper Lee estate to give you this new edition of a beloved classic.
There are more spreads on Edelweiss, so if you want to see more of this, you can go look at a few more of those. Also on Edelweiss, not to backtrack, but also on Edelweiss, we just added Lou Berney's interview from the podcast. It's in the assets at the bottom for Edelweiss, so check that out too. But these are really gorgeous, and you can see them. Like, I think there's like 5 or 6 of them. Yeah,
I think so. It's a very sensitively done set of illustrations. It's really fascinating to me. It's a fascinating way to think about how to make the story new and approachable to more people and to more audiences. So if you've read To Kill a Mockingbird, likely you have. If you've read To Kill a Mockingbird, love To Kill a Mockingbird, are excited about the upcoming Broadway adaptation of To Kill a Mockingbird, do look out for To Kill a Mockingbird. The graphic novel is...
Can you say To Kill a Mockingbird one more
Probably. time? To Kill a Mockingbird, the graphic novel, is on sale October 30th. It will be available in hardcover.
We have a lot of excitement about this online. Grandson loves graphic novels. It'll be a new way to introduce a new crowd. So.
Totally, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, building new audiences, one reader at a time.
That's our new saying.
It's our new saying, yeah.
Okay.
Where to next?
Moving on. We're going to go to The Binding. Here we go. So The Binding by Bridget Collins. This is, look how gorgeous this cover is. I'm really excited about it. It has these great French flaps on the galley. So in this world, books and book binding is like a sacred practice. So they take people's memories, and these people live within these pages of the book that they take from them, and kind of you can apprentice for them. But there's a lot of kind of prejudice around this because a lot of people are a little corrupt, and they use this for their own gain. So they sell books, they sell memories, and people kind of, you know, sometimes those are private and people don't want them to sell memories to people, but they sell the memories to people. They kind of, like a woman might, in the book, might have not needed some more money, so she goes and sells her, like, sweetest memory to get some money, and then it's gone forever. So it's kind of beautiful because it captures these memories and people can live through you, but also terrible because it takes it away from you. And so, I mean, if anything, it makes you appreciate books and how it doesn't take that away from you, but it also, it's the best of both worlds in the real world. But in this book, Emmett Farmer is called on to be apprentice, and his parents don't want him to go, but he goes and he studies this process. The author herself studied bookbinding, and it's crazy how old it is and how much really hasn't changed. And so it's such an art form, and you can really see it in the book how the Emmett really learns how to get there. The author has written 7 YA books and she had 2 plays produced, but this is her first adult novel. So I think it's really just for book lovers, and if you love books and you kind of get lost in it, this little world. And there's also a little mystery because when he's in the office, he's kind of, it's a little secretive, but when he starts learning about all of this, he sees a book with his name on it. And he doesn't remember that.
Creepy. If you're a fan, I would say I really like the binding too. If you are a fan of Jessie Burton's The Miniaturist, or if you're a fan of Sarah Waters, I think you definitely would like the binding a whole lot. Those would be sort of my 2.
Nice.
Who can I think about and compare it to? So yeah, if you like Jessie Burton's The Miniaturist or The Muse, and if you like Sarah Waters, I definitely think you should take a look at the binding. So when is that on sale?
It is April 16th.
Okay. Plan ahead.
But
plan ahead.
Galleys on Edelweiss.
Galleys on Edelweiss. That's true. That's true. So if you're a librarian, definitely check that out. If you are a faculty member in higher education, you got a bit of a wait. But if you're interested in any of these books and you are a faculty member at a higher education institution, please feel free to reach out to the Harper academic team, and we're happy to get you on our newsletter lists and send you some exam copies of things that are appropriate for your teaching needs.
Nice. What are we doing now?
You know what? Since that was a kind of a creepy book, in a way, let's do another creepy book. Ooh. So this is Sarah Perry's Malmuth. Malmuth tells the story of a 42-year-old woman, Helen Simpson. She's in Prague. It is a couple weeks after Christmas in 2017, 2016, contemporaneously to today, let's put it that way. And she is watched, even though she doesn't know it. And she meets this guy, Carl, at the library at the university in Prague, and they start talking about this manuscript, for lack of a better word, that Carl is gifted with, very unwillingly and unknowingly gifted with. I mean, it tells the story of this figure called Malmuth, and it's a Gothic story in the sort of truest and richest sense of the Gothic tradition. It is a very creepy story. Whenever I read this book, I kept thinking that something was moving out of my peripheral vision, and every time that I turned my head, of course, nothing was there. So it definitely gets into your head in a lot of different ways, and a lot of folks in the UK have been reading this book, and a lot of them have also had similar experiences of just weird stuff happens when you sit and you read Malmuth. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful story. It's a quick read. It's out on sale in hardcover October 16th, and it's just in time for Halloween, and it's definitely the kind of spooky sort of read that you want for that time of the year. Sarah Perry, of course, has a bit of a backlist with us. Her first novel that has come out in America, The Essex Serpent, is a fabulous, fabulous novel as well. It is a bit more historical fiction in its nature, but also kind of creepy in its own way. So The Essex Serpent is available now in paperback. Malmuth, look for October 16th in hardcover.
Okay, I don't know if this is scary or not, but it has a face like this. So.
Yeah. Kind of, that's appropriate. I mean, there is screaming in Malmuth, so it's totally a way to do it. But I absolutely love Sarah Perry's writing. I think she is super fantastic. I think she is super, super smart in what she does. And if the name Malmuth does sound familiar to you, which it may or may not, it actually is based on, the idea comes from an 1820s novel by Charles Maturin called Melmoth the Wanderer. So she's participating in a bit of a literary tradition of the Gothic. That Melmoth was truly terrifying. She does different things with her Melmoth. There's a big difference in the sense that her Melmoth is a woman, actually. But it's so smart, so compact, so approachable, so great to make the hairs on your neck stand up, so great to make you think you're slightly losing your mind, looking around out of your peripheral vision to check and see if something is moving. So
we have some comments. The Binding, she said, Janet Lockhart just finished it. Hi, Janet. And she said, spot on, Sarah Waters.
You're welcome.
So, perfect. Jen Murphy from upstairs.
Hi, Jen.
Loves your shirt. So can we talk about your shirt?
So last year I went on vacation to Rhode Island, and one of the things that was on the docket for a Rhode Island vacation was riding mopeds, which I had never done before. And I just so happened to come across this shirt online, and I thought, well, if ever I was going to dress for an occasion for vacation, this is clearly the t-shirt and my sort of speed of dressing for the occasion as well. So that's why I got this shirt, and really, since we were doing this today, I thought, well, there's no really better t-shirt to do this in than...
But she's not hogging these books.
I'm not hogging them. I mean, I do, kind of. But there are some of these books that I will not let anyone else take from me. But no, I love this t-shirt so much. So thanks, Jen, for noticing the shirt. My nod to the occasion of today, so it's super great.
You got dressed up for brunch.
I did get dressed up for brunch in one of my classy t-shirts. So yeah. Meanwhile, my mom is probably at home being like, "Oh my god," but that's okay. Yeah. It works. It fits the mood.
Okay, so moving a little away from scary in the thriller sense, but a little scary in the literal sense. So I apologize because I was supposed to print out a cover of it, but when you are self-moderating, you forget.
Yeah, too many balls in the air.
A few many. But the newest book, Seduction, by Karina Longworth, it's coming out in November. I'm so excited about this. You all know that I'm obsessed with podcasts, and Karina has, I think, one of the best voices in the podcast world. She does a podcast called You Must Remember This, and it's about old Hollywood. She's a former film editor, so she knows everything about it, and it's like the glamorous kind of golden age of film, and that's an amazing one. But there's this really cool one that I'm obsessed with that I've binged in a few days called You Must Remember Manson, and it's about Charles Manson, but related to the Hollywood that was surrounding him. It's so good. And Karina has such a cool voice in two ways. Cool because she literally has a cool voice. It's like cooing in your ears, how someone described it. And I was like, it's perfect.
It's quite the adjective
right?
phrase, yeah.
And then it's part that she has a great voice, like, narratively. She brings you into these stories of old Hollywood, and she gives you kind of everything around, like, what you could see and what's going on in the historical sense, but also really who these people are, and she gives these people, like, I mean, I don't want to say you feel bad for Charles Manson, because you don't, but you really relate to, like, how terrible his life was leading up to these events, and stuff you just wouldn't know, and you feel for him on a different level. I'm not saying good, but you feel for him a little differently than you would. So she does this in her book too. So she has several books, but Seduction is her newest one. Seduction, Sex, Lies, and Stardom in Howard Hughes Hollywood. So this is all about Howard Hughes, who is...
it's a very alliterative title.
Yeah.
In different ways. Got a lot of consonant action going on.
Yeah. Seduction is really at the point of it. I mean, Howard Hughes he was controlling, driven by, like, sexual obsessions, and, that could be either, like, because he truly liked someone, or because he saw this sex drive in the community, like putting it on screen and selling sex, essentially. Like, he was a publicity mogul, but he was so controlling. He would have them, like, living in a place where he could watch them. He would have drivers that watched them. He would have PIs following these women. He went through so many women in his life. He had 2 wives, but all these lovers, and, including, like, Ava Gardner, Lana Turner, Rita Hayworth, Katharine Hepburn, but then all of these other people you might not have even known about, and he kind of promised them this stardom that never really came. It's a little topical. Fortunately, I don't think he was very, like, it's not, like, hurtful, but it's just very, like, emotionally controlling, but really that's kind of the start of that Hollywood, and, it happens today. And so just seeing all of these things come together to create the Hollywood that we know, it's such a distinct voice, and I'm so excited. I just hear her reading it when I read it, and I'm so excited for it. So, Karina's great. I think you're all going to really like it. It's Seduction, Sex, Lies, and Stardom in Howard Hughes Hollywood.
When's it out?
November.
Are you going to do a podcast interview with her?
I would be very nervous, too. I feel like she's so good at it. I don't know, but I would love to.
I think you should. That's one of the great parts about our job, right?
Yeah.
So, right. I totally, do it.
Karina,
I say do it.
Here's our plea.
Call Lainey.
But, I'm really excited about this one, and I knew her before the book, so seeing her name, I was really excited, but then I think it lives up to it. So
yeah, I think you should totally do a podcast with her then. Yeah.
Done.
All right, so we'll stick with the arts.
Okay.
Broadly speaking, we'll stick with the arts. And let's talk about one of our authors all of our authors have fabulous names, but Clemency Burton Hill's name is totally fantastic. She is a radio personality for BBC, and this is Year of Wonder. And Year of Wonder is a really cool book, and it's a cool look at classical music, because let's face it, how many of us can actually honestly say that A, we listen to classical music, B, that we know anything at all about classical music beyond, like, some key words, like Beethoven. So
Bach.
Yeah, also Beethoven, who is not the dog, right? So Year of Wonder.
That one, sorry.
That one. So Year of Wonder takes you through classical music. So every month by month, day by day, you get a new piece of music. And so the pages are, composer, title of the song, and a few paragraphs about what the song does. Yeah, it does.
Okay, so you can kind of see it's like
a few paragraphs about what the song does, how it fits into sort of the larger narrative of classical music. I know very little, admittedly, about classical music. I really love Year of Wonder, and since you have the composer in the song listing, you can easily create your own Spotify list. Something that's cool that marketing at Harper has done is that monthly you can sign up for. Here in-house, you can sign up for a kind of reading group that is also a listening group, because they have created Spotify lists for each month that give you each day's song, as it were. So every day that you go, you can pop your earbuds in, your lovely Library Love Fest earbuds, and you can, sign in, and we can all in-house listen to the piece and then read what Clemency has to say about it and how it fits into sort of the larger narrative of classical music. For me, it's been like a huge learning moment for me, which I think is really cool, not really having that much of a background in it, not knowing really a whole lot about it. So I've really enjoyed this experience, and I think that for anyone who has an interest in music, if you have spotty periods and you're sort of listening backgrounds and listening oeuvres, definitely take a chance on Year of Wonder. It is available in hardcover, November 6th from Harper, and it's just a really great, approachable, which I think is key, because for me, and I think maybe for a lot of people, classical music might be a bit daunting. It's something maybe that is misperceived as being a bit stuffy. So for me, this is super approachable. It's super digestible. It makes it fun and intriguing, and it's an easy way, a super easy way to learn at least one new thing every day. So Year of Wonder, Clemency Burton Hill is out.
There's a great quote.
Oh, there's a great quote from Eddie Redmayne on the back. He says, "Year of Wonder is an absolute treat, the most enlightening way to be guided throughout the year." So, you know what would be cool too? And this is literally
Eddie Redmayne on the podcast?
Eddie Redmayne on the podcast would be great. I'd maybe keep the bar low for those expectations, but, I literally just thought of this right now, but if you're a journal person, right? How cool would it be to also include bits from Year of Wonder throughout your yearly reflections? That would be super cool. I suck at journaling, so I'm not a journaling person.
Something to aspire to.
Yeah, it is something to aspire to. But if you are a journal person, if you do sort of like to keep track of day by day things that happen, this would be a super cool inclusion, I think.
There's a really great, I think, a video on Edelweiss about with the author and telling kind of how she did this whole book, and you should check that out too. I know we're throwing out a lot of Edelweiss links, but they're all so good.
Yeah. But so Year of Wonder out November 6th in hardcover. Totally take a look at it. Tell all your music fan friends, even people who are like super into classical music. Who cares? Tell them too. It's definitely something that I think everybody can learn from.
Great. Just to answer a question for seduction. Somebody was like, "You've sold me," so. But there's no arc yet, but coming. So check back soon. That'll go. It's not on Edelweiss either, but it will come up soon. It's in our catalog, so you can find it when it does.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, what we doing? Okay, I think I know what we're doing.
All right.
So we don't have an arc of this one either, but we have some backlists. So we'll just put this one up. We all know and we all love I can't speak. What's in this thing? Adriana Trigiani's books. She does historical fiction so well, and like these covers are so gorgeous. These are some Kiss Carlo. You want to hold one?
Sure.
And the Spring Macaroni Company and the Shoemaker's Wife. They're gorgeous covers already, but really like everything on the cover just encapsulates like.
Does that paperback have French flaps?
It does.
It does.
They're
Fancy.
really beautiful. I love French flaps. I can put my page where I'm reading. It's great. So this is her 14th novel, and it's called Tony's Wife. It's not shown because we don't have arcs yet, but Tony's Wife, and we don't have a cover, or I would have printed that one too.
It's mystery and intrigue.
Yeah.
Really.
We're just pulling you in. So 14th novel, it's the 1940s big band era. It's about two Italian-American kids that fall in love at the Jersey Shore, and they kind of get to know each other, and then they get married and move to LA and want to kind of get into all of this music business. But then when they kind of start getting into that business, they decide that both of them can't have the same life. It's the time period where you got to pick, raise a family or be successful, and who does that usually come down to? So who's going to stay home and take care of the kids? I mean, fame and temptation gets between them and their marriage. And, if you like, somebody said The Godfather was a good, whatever. It's because they're Italian, and it's got all of that kind of stuff. But Tony's Wife, the name, it's like no matter what Chi-Chi, like the main character, the woman, whatever she does, she's always going to be known as Tony's wife in this era. So I think it really shows a lot about what's going on in that scheme too. Like, not only like homemaking and having a family and having it all, but also like what you're always going to be as a woman. So, Adriana Trigiani, Tony's wife, and it is out in November. And these are just some backlist if you want to check out some books you can find now.
In the copy, when it talks about the shore, does it say go down the shore, or does it say go down to the shore?
From the Jersey Shore to Los Angeles to Hollywood?
From the Jersey. Okay.
Why?
Well, because it's a thing like, you can always tell if someone is from New Jersey or not. Because if you're from Jersey, you just say that you're going to the shore. You go down the shore. You don't usually make a full grammatically correct thing of it.
Well, if you're not from there, they don't know. So I guess to copy to everyone.
I once heard someone, so I am from New Jersey, and I once heard someone behind me, there were two colleagues talking about what they were doing over the weekend, and one of them said to the other in reply, I'm going down to the New Jersey shore, and I'm like, oh, like my head just about exploded, really. I was like, oh, it's not how we say it, right?
Watch out, guys.
Just
don't
like
say that
how just like how it's Taylor ham and not pork roll. But that's a conversation for when Michael is with us, because we have a big Jersey debate about that.
Well, next time I go down to the Jersey Shore, I'll remember that.
Oh, you're not going to eat pork roll down at the shore.
Sorry, Kim.
Oh, it's fine. What next? What
do you think?
Do you want to talk about how I told you?
Please talk about this.
Do you want to talk about how I told you that you love this book and you didn't really believe me at first?
It's not that I didn't believe you. It's not that I didn't believe you. So, lead read, again, we just told you that the lead read, and this was shortlisted. This is when you read this.
This is Mary Adkins when you read this, yeah.
So this is shortlisted, and, we're all the sales, we were reading it, and we were getting excited to vote, and...
This was my book. I just want to make that very clear from the very beginning. This was I would die on a hill for this book.
It was Kim's book. I'm in the middle of reading them all, and I'm like, oh, I might go with this other one. I don't know. And she was just like, no, you're going to love it. And then I got to the end, and I came in, and I was just like, it's really good. Kim, she's like, I told you so.
And you had voted for a different title.
We don't have to tell them that. I love them all. It's hard to pick, but...
It is hard to pick.
It is that good. I'm really excited about this book, too. Do you want to talk a little bit about it, and I'll chime in?
So one of the interesting parts about this, so basically, I guess to not put too fine a point on it, this is, in some ways, it's a cancer story, but it's also so much more than a novel about a young woman who had cancer. It is a story about friendship and family. It is a story, I think, overall about love and what happens in being there for someone. Whether they're sick or whether they're grieving or, whether they have a crazy job situation, like whatever it is. It's a really, really wonderful, non-traditionally styled book. And what I mean by that is the novel structure basically is in email and text message and diary drawings. So when you flip through the book, if we all sort of go to a bookstore, we grab a book, we flip through it. It's usually just paragraphs and literally words on a page in paragraph structure. This is very different than that. If you're worried about whether that sort of prevents readability of it, I do not think that it does at all. I think that it packs a crazy, heavy emotional punch, and you don't even really realize it. Like, I thought, okay, this will just be... a light-hearted, fun sort of story.
It's like
read about
lightheartedly dark.
It is lightheartedly dark. It does sneak up on you how much of an emotional impact this book has. I mean, I felt at the end like I was kind of gut punched in a way, but in an enjoyable way, if that sounds kind of crazy. But it really is a book that packs so much emotion and so much feeling into it, so much kindness and care and love and humor too. I mean, in spite of it overall, I think, telling a sad story in some ways, it is a very life-affirming story. The characters are rich and individualistic. We all know someone in our lives that has a problem with caps lock, whether it's in email conversation or whether it's in text messages.
Caps rage.
Yeah, caps rage. You got a character like that in this book. It is super, super wonderful. and enjoyable. I totally loved it. I'm so pleased that it was on the short list. It was a super, super close vote, and it was just a book that I think a lot of people in-house loved, and we are so very excited for you all to read it. It's out January?
Yes. No, February.
February. It's out in February in hardcover. It's a super, super great read.
I think it's so great because it kind of deals with coming to terms with your life and kind of staring death in the face, and whether that's from you doing it or your family looking in, you know, how do you deal with that when you're told, you know, you never know. I mean, anyone, you never know how much time you have, but this person who is told, like, you have to deal with this, and kind of like, what do you want your last part of your life to be about? And I think it's beautiful. My favorite part is Carl the intern. So throughout the book, there's a new intern that's working for Smith who, did you talk about all the people's names and stuff?
No, I
don't know if I'm
didn't.
So, Iris is told that she has cancer, and so she's dealing with this and using a blog to kind of work with how that's going to, all that I said before. But then her sister Jade is left behind, and so it goes in and out of the future and past. And Smith was Iris's boss, and so Smith is reaching out to Jade, and they're kind of talking about this person that has been such a big part of their life. And then Carl is... He's trying his best.
He tries, yeah.
He's working
tries really,
with
really
Smith,
hard.
and but some of the things you say, you're just like, oh my gosh, like what? Like, it's something you're like, oh my gosh, I could see how he would do that. You know, he tells like clients like, hey, this sounds like a good thing. What do you think? And it'll be like spam, and he's like, no, don't respond to that.
Yeah. He's an intern, very much learning his craft.
But he has a lot of gumption, and he has a lot of hard work. But it's sometimes misdirected.
Yes. Quite often misdirected, but hilariously so.
That's a great, like,
it's
funny.
It's a great counterpoint to sort of the emotional heaviness that's going on. But I absolutely fell in love with this book so hard. It's just a great heartwarming story. And Mary Atkins, when you read this, out February, on sale when? February
5th.
February 5th. In hardcover from Harper, and it's just a wonderful book. So please pick it up.
So, gotta go back. Adriana Trigiani's book is Tony's Wife. Somebody asked what the title was, and Michael said #Team Pork Roll.
It is not Team.
Michael, I hope you feel better. He's watching.
You're sick. You're supposed to be sleeping. Enough with the pork roll.
So we'll give a shout out to him. Do you want to do another one?
I can do another one, sure.
Okay.
I'm gonna talk about my mermaid book.
Okay.
So the rest of the show cannot just be about this book. I realize.
Before Kim says anything, I have to, like, brag on Kim a little.
Oh,
because she loves this book so much, and she's going to tell you all about it. But she did an interview with the author yesterday, and I got to sit in on it. And, I mean, it's a podcast. The academic team has a podcast as well. Do you want to tell them how to find that?
You can find Harper Academic Calling if you search Harper Academic Calling on SoundCloud, or you can go to our website, harperacademic.com, and click on the top of our banner. There's a link for our podcast page. You can find all 50-some episodes that we currently have. We have an amazing backlist.
Yeah. And so if you're a professor and you want to, if you want to find out more about these books,
just hold it.
And Michael both go really in depth. Just hold it close.
I will hold it close. I do hold it.
This podcast won't come out for a while, but I just have to say, like, the love between her and the author, like, how much she loves this book shines through, and I just want to brag on Kim a little bit.
That was awkward, but thank you.
Welcome.
Can you hold this
Yes.
for me? So this is Imogen Hermes Gower's The Mermaid and Mrs Hancock. It's a debut novel. I just fell in love with this book. So 3 things you need to know about this book. A mermaid, a merchant, and a madam. It is set in 1785 and 1786 in Georgian London. So it is a historical novel. Imogen did such a terrific job talking and placing her characters in this world, a very believable world of what I think most of us think of as Jane Austen's world of Georgian England. Jonah Hancock is a merchant. One of his ships comes back or one of his ship's captains, comes back without the ship that Jonah sent him out on. And instead of coming back with a ship, cargo, and riches, he comes back with a mermaid. That doesn't quite look like a mermaid that we all think and know. And Jonah's kind of like, well, what am I going to do with this? And his captain, Tyso Jones, says, well, why don't you exhibit it? So that sort of starts a side career for Jonah Hancock. And one of the interested parties in London who sees this is Mrs. Chapel, who's a bawd. And she offers to host the mermaid for Mr. Hancock at her establishment, and there's a great few scenes of completely bawdy Georgian humor. It is so great. It is so laugh-out-loud funny. It's titillating. It's all of those things. And one of Mrs. Chapel's girls is Angelica Neal, who is another main player. She eventually becomes the Mrs. Hancock in the title. And it is a story about a curiosity. It is a story told very curiously. If you are a fan of 18th century novels, and if you did not know that this novel is going to be published in September, you will absolutely fall in love with it. I really had a great time talking with Imogen. It was such a pleasure to finally meet her and to sit down with her in person and get to talk about her book. It's certainly one of my highlights of our upcoming fall season, and of my summer, for that matter. She is so smart, and she did such amazing research work into this book, from, getting a Georgian phrase book to make sure that the colloquialisms in the book come across as sounding authentic, to great vocabulary words. If you're a word person and a word lover, I promise you that you will find...
I don't know if it's the right audience for that.
You will find some new words, perhaps new to you words, especially kind of words that have fallen out of favor in the English language just because of time passing. But it is a wonderful, wonderful book. It is probably one of my favorite books, if not my favorite book for September. It is on sale in a gorgeous hardcover. September 11th it goes on sale. If you're a fan of podcasts, the podcast conversation that I had with Imogen will probably go up in early September, so that's a great reason for you to go to harperacademic.com, go to our newsletter page, sign up for our podcast update newsletter, and that goes out every single time we post a new episode. So if you want to put Imogen's book on your radar, I think it's not to be missed. I absolutely fell in love with this book, and I've read it 3 times, I think, already by now, which is maybe a bit much, but it's just absolutely wonderful. If you like historical fiction, if you like the idea of looking at things and thinking about things curiously, this is definitely the book for you.
A lot of love for this one. People were saying they loved it, can't wait to see it. Fell in love too, so different from your garden variety of historical fiction. Yeah. And thanks for turning them on to it.
Cool.
So
You're very welcome.
Casey Davis just said, just purchased a book called T-shirt, so thank you.
Hey, you're welcome. Glad to help expand commercial horizons however I can.
So we have about, I think, 15 minutes. So we might want to speed up a little bit, right, sure. But we have a few more books for you. How many do you have? I have 2 more.
I have 1, 2, and a couple backlists.
Okay, so
3.
about the same. About 3?
Yeah, about the same.
All right.
We can do it.
So, because you have 3, do you care to go again? Because I feel like we're going to be uneven if not.
Okay, you're in charge.
I'm in charge?
V left you in charge, so you're in charge.
Go ahead.
You want me to go?
You don't want to say that
All right.
to me.
I will talk about... Whew, try not to spill my orange juice, too. This is I will talk about Einstein's Shadow by Seth Fletcher. So Seth is the chief features editor at Scientific American. So he's a science man. He knows his science stuff. Einstein's Shadow follows a team of elite scientists on their historic mission to take the first picture of the black hole. So that puts Einstein's theories to the test, trying to do it. I have... all of my degrees are in English and humanities, so I'm not a science person by any stretch of the imagination. But one of the things that I super liked about this book is that I think it's approachable. There are two really super useful things that come in the front of this book. So hat tip to our team at Echo for making sure that some really super important explanatory information got put right front and center in the book. One is basically, it's nonfiction, but I'll just, if you allow the use of the phrase, one is a cast of characters. There are a lot of people in this book, and there are a lot of people that do very sciencey things. And had I not had that list, I'd be like, what is going on? So I super appreciated that. The thing that comes immediately after that, before the actual book starts, is a very, very helpful list of abbreviations. You do get, as is general good writing practice, says the former writing teacher, you do get sort of full phrases first, and then everything becomes a bit acronymy. Which is a new word today. So that I thought was super helpful as well, because if I ever forgot what something meant, I could flip back to the beginning, easily find it, get myself right back to where I was. I didn't find it too disruptive. It's short-ish, it's approachable, it's written in a way that non-sciencey people like me can totally find it interesting and figure out what's going on with black holes and space things, right? We may have a space force soon, so
it's the word.
It's worth knowing about what happens in a black hole and what is the potential.
I think we're already in a black hole. It's fine.
Maybe so. We probably are. Yeah. So if you want to learn about the space kind of black holes, you can definitely take a look at Seth's book. It will publish in hardcover on October 9th. So definitely take a look at it. If you are, or if you know someone who teaches astronomy, please have them get in touch with me, because this is a super great book, I think, for astronomy classes, astronomy faculty, physical science, or space science, people. So yeah, I find it super interesting, and I mean, for me, that's something that's hard for my brain to kind of get into, so I really found it super approachable and super great. So Einstein's Shadow, the subtitle is A Black Hole, A Band of Astronomers, and the Quest to See the Universe, on sale October 9th from our friends at Echo.
Echo's great.
Echo's
Thanks.
great. We
Shout
like
out to
Echo.
Ashley for bringing me the galley down. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad you enjoyed the formatting. Okay, so next one. Can I borrow the back list of
Absolutely.
So the next book, so if you remember Whatever Happened to Interracial Love by Kathleen Collins, this is a short story collection that came out. And Kathleen is a pioneer African-American playwright, filmmaker, civil rights activist. So her film Losing Ground was the first feature made by a black woman in America, and it's extremely rare narrative portrayal of a black female intellectual. Unfortunately, Kathleen Collins passed away from breast cancer, her battle with breast cancer in 1988. So this was published, but it took off. It was insane. Zadie Smith said, "To be this good and yet to be ignored is shameful, but her rediscovery is a great piece of luck for us."
Yeah.
And
I talked to Zadie Smith a bit about it when I was at a Zadie Smith book reading, actually, and I went, like a total fangirl, to get my book signed after, and I was working on something for Whatever Happened to Interracial Love for academic, and I happened to also have it in my hand, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I love that book," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, Zadie Smith loves a book that I have in my hand that's not one of her own books." So
it's a cool story.
So yeah, no, it is a super great story. I really love the short stories in Whatever Happened to Interracial Love, and so I'm thrilled that we have more Kathleen Collins, and we will have more Kathleen Collins.
Yes. So the newest one is Notes from a Black Woman's Diary, and these are just kind of diary entries, letters. There's a one-act play. I just read it the other day, and I thought it was so smart, and it was quick, but you got so much emotion from it, and I think Kathleen has such a great voice, or had such a great voice, that it's so relevant even today. Some of the diary entries are really, really dark. Her struggle with being a mom and being successful and not feeling she's living up, but also she's kind of got that quick wit that you see shine through. Like, some of them are just like, I'm trying to write in my diary. It was a good day. I think one sentence is good. Let it stand. You know, I thought that was just so powerful, and I don't know, you know, she might not have ever thought that those would be published, but I think you can really see her character shine through. So, Notes from a Black Woman's Diary comes out February 5th. It's another Echo title. And
is it coming out in paperback?
Yes,
okay.
Trade paperback.
Trade paperback.
So, I'm really excited for you guys to read it. It's special. She's got a special voice.
Yeah, she really, really does.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much love for it, but since we're short on time, I'm gonna move on to the next one. And this is special, though. I don't want to belittle how special it is.
Okay, so Kitty Zeldis is not our kind. So this is another historical fiction novel. It is set in post-war New York City on the Upper East Side. So it's taking you back to 1947, and basically it all happens because of a car crash, a taxi crash. So Patricia Bellamy's taxi. Patricia Bellamy is, I think it's fair to say she's an upper class lady who lives on the Upper East Side in Manhattan. So her taxi collides, not too badly, with Eleanor Moskowitz on a rainy morning, and from there, kind of in some ways, a family saga sort of explodes onto the page in the trajectory of this novel. What do you have in this novel? You have post-war New York City. You have New York City. You also have questions of tolerance and intolerance, right? Eleanor is a young Jewish woman, and that's not necessarily an easy thing to be at this particular time in New York City. There are class questions about who is allowed to mix with whom in different social settings. There is scandal. Who falls in love with whom and who should not be falling in love with anyone. So there's a whole lot that's going on in this book. I think it's super approachable historical fiction. If you like maybe more commercial historical fiction, I would say this is definitely going to be right up your street. This publishes in hardcover September 4th from Harper. I really liked it. Did you read Not Our Kind? You didn't get to it?
Not yet.
Not yet. But it's a super, super great book, I think. It's challenging in sort of the assumptions that it makes. So, you know, I think with all historical fiction, you have to remember where you are and when you are. So 1947 gives you a very particular sort of vibe. And a very particular sort of set of circumstances for how people operate in the world. And thinking about sort of rigid things like religion and race and class, those are all sort of very heady-weighted issues in this novel. And I think that Kitty Zeldis does a great job handling it and making you have something to think about while you're also super enjoying it. And I also really like the cover design. I think the cover design
with her hand with the pocketbook
is super smart.
And also Not Our Kind is just a great, like, you understand. You kind of, you see the time period of the woman in the dress. Yeah. And you're like, Not Our Kind, like, you just kind of get this attitude of no matter who they're talking about, but just this attitude.
Yeah, there's definitely, from the cover and the title is definitely an atmosphere that sort of is setting you up for what you'll find between the front cover and the back cover. And it's just, it's an enjoyable read. It challenges you to think about certain attitudes and assumptions, both historical and current. So it definitely has reaches, I think, into some things that are happening today. Kitty Zeldis, not that bad, out September 4th in hardcover.
Okay, so my last one, we have like 5-7 minutes. So, no, 5-7 minutes. So here's a backlist. Kate Quinn, we all love the Alice Network. Kate Quinn's new book, The Huntress, cover to be revealed. But Kate Quinn, everybody loves the Alice Network. USA Today, New York Times bestselling author. I'm not even going to get into that because we all know how much we love her. But her newest book, The Huntress, and it's the one I voted for lead reads. It was
nothing against it.
I
read it and I liked it too, but
The Huntress. And so The Huntress is about it's kind of, well, no, it's not kind of. It is based on a true group of people, and I'm going to get their name correct. Night witches. And so they were like female pilots during World War II in Russia. And so they were just like fierce. And so she kind of took that idea and gave it, not a lot of people know about them now, and she wanted to kind of bring them to the forefront. So it follows Nina Markova, who is one of the night witches. She grew up in Siberia. She's tough, and she becomes a pilot. She works really hard, and she kind of, I mean, there's like a lot that goes around that. She has a love story with another pilot. You know, it's beautiful. But then she comes face to face with the Huntress. And she's a Nazi war criminal, and it's at the end of the war, and she sees something very terrible happen, and she's a part of it. And then she decides that she's out for blood. She is coming for that person because she is a war criminal. You know, she's done all these terrible things. And it kind of goes in between that time and all of that happened with the Huntress and this and the early 50s with a young teenager named Jordan. And Jordan and her dad meet this woman who comes into Jordan's life, and her dad starts dating her, and Jordan loves photography, so she's kind of taking photographs and learning about this person, and some things start coming up, and she has a new stepmom at this point. She becomes her stepmother. She has a new baby sister and a new half-sister, and she sees that maybe some things aren't adding up, but she doesn't know what. And so then, in between these two times, there's an Englishman and a man from the Bronx, and Queens, and they're going to fight to find this person. They hunt war criminals out. The Englishman was a journalist, so he kind of tells the story and brings them to justice. So she's on the Huntress is on the run, and they're gonna find her, and it's thrilling. It's got love stories. It's does such a good job of kind of turning what you think someone is and having a totally different past you would never think, and really seeing how someone can become two different people and how you see them in those different spheres. It was so good. I was flipping so quickly, and I love Jordan. She's like one of my favorite characters in the book, and her photography really means something so much to her, and she wants something more for her life. She doesn't want to become a housewife. She wants to do something, and she is so obsessed with journalism and photojournalism during the war. And so when she meets the Englishman, she's like, I got it. That's what I want to do. And she fangirls, and I think it's so great to show a character who knows what they want and they're working towards it, but like not afraid to ask and learn from people. And her dad is not always supportive of her, so she really has to go out on a limb. And I think the photography process as well is so cool to learn about. So Kate, I had the honor of meeting her the other day. She is great. So.
When will ARCs be available? Do you know offhand?
Not sure. It's not out till the end of February, so it'll be a little bit. Okay. But we might have some bound galleys if some librarians want to reach out to us. I don't know if it's on Edelweiss. I have to check again, but it's coming.
It's coming. There's lots of love in the comments for Kate Quinn. There's also lots of love for Kitty's Eldest Is Not Our Kind, which we're super happy about. Jen Murphy, I saw your comment. If you come down to the video studio, leave your desk right now. Stop watching. But don't stop watching before I just mentioned that the last book that I have is by Jane Levy. It's called The Big Fella.
Take it home.
So we do have extra mimosas, Jen, so come on down. Join us. All right, so baseball is back from the All-Star break. My Yankees are taking on Tim Donahue, who is our director of security, his Mets. Sorry, Mets fans. Just a perpetual apology to all Mets fans. Sorry. So Jane Levy, author of Sandy Koufax and author of The Last Boy, Mickey Mantle, and The End of America's Childhood. Jane Levy is back with The Big Fella, Babe Ruth and the World He Created. So if you're a Yankees fan, you're totally going to love this book. Babe Ruth is a guy who, when he was alive, Babe Ruth lived in the present. He lived in front of the cameras all of the time. This book takes you through the September 1927, the month of September 1927, It takes you through some home runs. It takes you through the barnstorming tours that Babe Ruth and Roger Maris did together. So it takes you a bit around the country. But I think one of the great ways of looking at Babe Ruth in this book is how it's the rise of celebrity, right? It's the rise of celebrity. It's the rise of a public sports figure becoming an endorser, becoming someone who is a brand in and of itself. It talks about the scandal of the Babe Ruth candy bar, the Baby Ruth bar, and it was really interesting to me to sort of think about, well, when was this moment when people became, especially sports figures, became something to commodify? And Babe Ruth, it really kind of started with the Babe. And so I thought that this was a super, super interesting book. Like Jane's previous books, they are completely well-researched. She does not miss a beat on that at all. I have taken this book, I've taken this book a lot of places. I've talked to people about it on the subway. When I was at a Staten Island Yankees game a couple weeks ago, I would stop people and talk to them about this book, which is just something I guess I do.
Did you have it in hand?
I did actually have it. It was the book that I was reading, so I take the A train in the mornings. I get on all the way at the beginning and come all the way downtown. So I have about 45 minutes to an hour to read, and so that was my A train, #A train read. Of that week, and so I had it in my bag when I went to the game, and they do the bag check when you go before you go into the stadium, and the guy was like, I'm like, do you want? He looks and he's like, you just got a book in there, and I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, you should actually, you might be interested in the book. He's like, nah, and I'm like, no, you're really gonna be interested in this book. So I pull it out, and I'm like, it's about Babe Ruth. He's like, oh, so we're sitting there talking about this book.
His voice.
And then this guy, and then this guy, when I was in line to buy a beer, this guy behind me was talking. Well, first we talked a little bit about beer and how he doesn't really like to drink beer, but then I was like, hey, do you like to read? And he's like, yeah, I read a little bit sometimes. And I'm like, all right. His name is Angelo. So Angelo from Staten Island, if you're listening, this is the book that I kept telling you about.
Kim's on a guerrilla marketing campaign for
so I told my new friend Angelo from Staten Island, I told him all about the big fella, and he seemed super excited about it. So he's going to his bookstore on October 16th. I should have told him about Malmuth, too, but I didn't want to push my luck, I guess.
Well, it's so great, because if you don't know baseball, you know Babe Ruth.
Yeah, I understood my audience in that moment, and I was like, you know what, you're going to like this book about the Babe. So if you're a Yankees fan, if you know somebody who's a Yankees fan, if you hate the Yankees and want to find out more reasons to hate the Yankees, definitely take a look at Jane Levy's The Big Fella, out in hardcover October 16th. I hear also that Jane Levy is going to throw out the first pitch at the Yankees at a Yankees game in September. I would just like to publicly state on Facebook Live that should the company need another ambassador for Jane Levy and the Big Fella on that particular occasion, I am more than happy to offer my services. I will make myself a Yankees book T-shirt if I have to be appropriately dressed for that occasion. But Jane Levy's The Big Fella, out in hardcover October 16th. Please do not miss it.
That was great, Kim.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining me, Kim.
Hey, thanks for inviting me. I'm sorry we didn't have wing nuts and bolts. Like, we literally were missing wing nuts and bolts for the new...
The nuts and bolts of it.
The nuts and bolts of it were missing for the new Tiki Hut, but... Yeah,
but we can't christen it without Chris and Virginia.
That's true.
So
it would not be totally fair. But thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, we're like, it looks like the ocean.
It does look like the ocean.
We're hanging out. We're having brunch. I just saw Robin Bierbauer said that November Road is really great. I saw your review. Thank you.
Hang on. Lillian Dabney just said Chris's interview with Lou Burney on the Library Love Fest podcast was wonderful. Thank you so much, Lillian, for taking a listen to Chris's fabulous podcast episode. Yes. We will be sure to pass along to him your compliment. That's super great.
Thanks, Lillian. So, have a munchkin.
Alright, thanks. Should I just be classy and shove it in my face?
Okay. And have a drink, and we're going to sign off. So, thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Library Reads. Today is the last day to vote for September, so
get on it.
Go. Thank you for watching, and hope you enjoyed.
Have a great weekend.